Welcome back to Beach Planet USA. My name is Steve, and we are going to continue to stay on the topic of leadership. Last video, I really focused on what I was considering Leadership 101, which is covering the principles of leadership. And I believe there's a lot of principles. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to know. One thing that has been on my mind since the last leadership video was thinking about what really has captured my attention, has captured my heart, what has captured my mind in regards to leadership. And I'd like to go all the way back to my past as to what has really captured my heart when it comes to leadership. Well, when I was young, there were people that I looked up to. There were people that I admired. As I went into the workforce, there were people that I looked up to. There were people that I admired. There were nice people. There were good people. They were leaders. They were people in power. There were people who made money. And I admired that. I looked up to it. And I studied it. And I saw myself and said, how can I be that owner? How can I be that district manager? How can I be the go-to person? How can I be the one that everybody relies on? I always had a vision of being that go-to person. I saw that person as reliable, as reputable, as somebody that everybody appreciated. That's what I saw leadership as. Little did I know that leadership comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of problems, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and most importantly, a lot of learning. I think that there are times within leadership you are stressed. There is a lot of pressure. But once you understand what the mission is, once you understand what the goals are, once you understand that it's a journey, you know that you will learn. You know that you will remain engaged. You know that there's nothing else to do but continue and continue to grow and continue to become. So this process and journey of leadership, it's not only a long one, but you start to understand what it comes with. You start to understand what it's made up of, what it's built of. And you start to hold yourself accountable when it's tough, when it's hard, when you're frustrated, when it seems like you're not going anywhere. There's something that I've discovered. I call it the hamster wheel. But this is a hamster wheel, but it's a different definition. Because there are many times in life where it feels like you're going nowhere. It feels like you're doing all you can. It feels like you're working your heart out. You're working wholeheartedly, but nothing's happening. And that's discouraging. It's frustrating. It's annoying. Sometimes it's boring. I believe that feeling of the hamster wheel, of you doing all you can, of all you sweating and working and putting effort and caring, but that sensation or that reality, believe me, that sensation is not false. It's a reality that nothing's happening. You're not going anywhere. But here's what I've discovered, that's only the feeling, that's only the sensation, because during certain periods of our time, we will have to keep doing the same things over and over again, because this is the valley that we have to cross. We have to remain consistent. If there's anything good that you do, you have to continue to do it. If there's anything good that you do, you have to do it not only over and over again, but you have to get even better at the things that you do over and over again. That's where details come in. That's where finesse comes in. That's where we get to improve on the same problem that occurs. We actually can take inventory and realize that some of the same problems in whatever it is we do will continue to happen over and over again. And we have a couple options in regards to the same problems that happen over and over again. I know it's easy to say, well, the same problems shouldn't happen over and over again. But that's not always true, because within our journey, if we're doing the same work and the workload builds and we're doing more work or more volume, or we're working faster, because maybe that's the type of workload that you have, you will stumble upon the same problems and you will fix these problems over and over again. But thankfully, you get to fix them in a different way each time, and you start to take note of what might be the best way to fix a certain problem. So now you have one problem that happens over and over again. And of course, what you're going to do is you're going to try to prevent that problem. But until you figure out how to prevent it, or that it should be prevented, or that it is a problem that happens over and over again, you will address that same problem in several different ways based on, depending on what you're doing, depending on how you see it, depending on how much you know, depending on how many layers of information you have in regards to a certain problem. You may know more about a certain problem. You may see common factors about the same problem. So what we're doing is we're collecting data. And what we get to do with this data is we get to fix these problems better and better. And sometimes we become more efficient at fixing these problems until we can either figure out how to prevent them or reduce them. Before you can plug certain holes, you will make these refinements in order to reduce the frequency of the problem or problems. Now, as you know, in any industry, or regardless of what it is you do, there are many problems in different areas. So this becomes a journey of figuring out how to fix problems, how to become more efficient, how to prevent them, how to stop them, and also how to fix urgent problems. So all this is a giant bag of mess to figure out and to work with as a leader, regardless of what level you're at, regardless of who you're working for or of who works for you. We are put under pressure. We end up under stress, but we get to learn from it all. We get to get better. We get to get stressed. We get to learn. We get to improve. And then we start to understand that when we are stressed or when we are under pressure, we start to know what the solutions are, and it's action, and it's process, and it's systems, and it's thinking, and it's calculating, and it's effort, and it's caring, and it's consistency. So in leadership, there's a lot to learn. And once you know that, you buckle up and you go for the ride. This is that hamster wheel that makes us feel like we're not going anywhere. But the fact of the matter is, we either have to pay our dues, handling our workload, getting better at it, becoming efficient at our workload, becoming reliable, becoming consistent, being able to run high quality, high standard systems and processes over periods of times. What that does is that sustains what it is you're doing, that protects your job, that develops your reputation. So, even though it feels like you're doing the same thing, even though it feels like you're not going anywhere, you're actually making progress. You're actually developing. You're actually showing whoever it is you work for, whoever it is you work with, you're actually building a rapport with everybody. That's why leadership takes patience. That's why if it feels like you're not going anywhere, that's not a reason to do less. That's not a reason to care less. That's not a reason to be discouraged. If anything, you just have to take inventory. You have to think, what is going on? What has been going on? What am I doing? Where am I going? How am I operating? During those times, you should improve. You should add improvement to details. You should get a little better. You should figure out how to do a little more, because when you are accomplishing and solving all these problems via all these systems and processes, you actually become efficient. You actually end up knowing what you're doing. So if you're doing things that are hard, things that are critical, you actually can get very good at hard things. You can get very good at solving critical problems quickly, efficiently, accurately, and you can do all this consistently. This is how you build a reputation. This is how you develop as a leader. This is how you prove to yourself and to others that not only do you know what you're doing, but you get better and better and you're consistent. Many times, as I've mentioned in the past, we can be happy doing what we're doing. We can have a very hard position, do it very well, and not want to go to the next level, or not have it in us to go to the next level, which entails a whole new level of problems to solve, of efficiencies to develop, of responsibility to take on. Next levels come with more seriousness. They come with more urgency. They come with more accountability, not only for others, but for ourselves. In order to grow and in order to develop, you have to hold yourself accountable more and more and more. In leadership, you don't play the blame game. I have had times within my journey where I played the blame game. I was trying to figure out whose fault was it. And at the end of the day, my better option was to determine that it was my fault, that I could have done something. I could have picked up the phone. I could have prevented it. I could have done what I was supposed to do, or I could have done something that I didn't do. So wherever I saw the gap, I started to hold myself accountable. And you have to do this more and more, because that's how in leadership you get better. That's how you're more reliable, because you are now solving problems not only for yourself, but for others. Leadership is amazing. So when I looked up to all these people in my life, especially when I was younger, especially when I was a young man, I was asking, how can I be that? How do I do that? How do I become that? So I started to ask about promotion. Yes, I was interested in raises, but I also knew that with promotion, you got raises. I know that if I asked for a raise, I was going to be very limited, but if I asked for a promotion, I would go to the next level and I would have to take on a whole new level of responsibility, and I'd have to hold myself accountable even more. So I was in, and I loved it. And wherever I was, there was a large workload. I loved working. I loved saying yes. I loved being a part of the action. I loved being a part of growth. I loved being a part of driving the mission, of accomplishing the goal, of working with teams, of attempting to be a team leader. I loved it. And I was willing, and I remained willing. And I started to see my efforts and my actions, and I started to realize that that hamster wheel was actually going somewhere. It just felt like it wasn't. I don't know about you, but hopefully you have been able to reflect or to think about your journey of work, your journey in life, your journey of relationships, and how maybe sometimes we think we're stuck, sometimes we think we're not going anywhere. But the fact of the matter is, we need to be patient, and we need to get better, and we need to take inventory. Taking inventory is asking, what is really going on? What have I done? What am I doing? Am I getting better? Am I getting worse? Am I in it? Do I care less? Am I quitting? Have I sunk? Have I risen? And we have to be honest with ourselves. That's how we hold ourselves accountable. Am I making progress? Is there something else I can do? Is there a little something else I can do? Because a little goes a long way in leadership, especially when you're doing all you can. Leadership never ends. Growth, it seems infinite, because on a day-to-day basis, you can remain engaged and you can care and you can know that you are making a difference. But you do have to give yourself credit, and you do have to believe that how you work and how you feel and what you do does make a difference. That's why attitude is everything. Thank you for watching Beach Planet USA podcast channel. My name is Steve, and I hope you've enjoyed this little video on leadership. Stay tuned, because they're going to keep coming. And I have so much more to offer. There's a lot more cycling videos. There's a lot more adventuring videos. There's a lot more motorcycling videos. There's a whole lot of beach videos coming. So give me a chance. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment. Let me know if there's anything that you can relate to in regards to what I've covered on this video or any other video. I hope you're off to a fabulous new year. We are in January 2026. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. And let's continue on. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.